Hello fellow painters, welcome back. Today I'm refining some sketches and I'm only going to be showing one of them. And sadly the process has not been recorded. However, I'm showing you the entire steps that I take. So I take a photo of it, I throw it in Krita, I throw a bunch of layers on top of coloring the composition I want to take it towards color-wise, a few sketches on top to make sure some areas are defined. I tried experimenting with overlaying the sketch again on top, see how that would work, but I didn't enjoy it. I didn't like it with the effects on top. So then I just went ahead and printed it out. And you gotta export it, do all the things, save it correctly. I export it as a PNG, just so no matter how many times I freaking open it, it doesn't lose too much quality. I believe that was the reason. And if not, well, I'm wrong about that and I don't really understand it. So I decided to print it on as a full A4. And this will be now my reference for when I start painting the board canvas. So I just set up now, making sure I have enough space. In retrospect, I could have used my laptop as the reference there, but I like having it on paper. I don't know why that is, but I just do. I think it computes in my brain a lot better. So then I just grabbed the paints, the titanium white, Hansa yellow from Gamblin, some ochre, some bright red, I think from Rembrandt, and I think I got some Indian blue as well in there, which I'm using right now, which then I decided to also incorporate phthalo blue, some transparent oxides as well, and I just start basically laying down the main colors to fill up the canvas. And usually this part doesn't tend to be too difficult. It just, you want to make sure that you're getting the composition right. The colors doesn't need to be fully right. This is after all a place for me to understand what I want to do with it, how it translates from digital to oil, very similar to how in a couple videos back I did from pastel to oil. This time, this is usually what I tend to do when I go big with my canvases. I do the sketch digitally and then I translate it. No, actually, I do the sketch digitally, like refine it fully with the line work and everything. I grid it, I print it out, and then I start doing the big canvas. So I start gridding the big canvas, I start laying the line work on the big canvas, and then I start painting. And here I'm starting to define a couple of the folds that I've been trying to practice and trying to understand. Because on this sketch I just did like these lines. I overlaid a couple of textures from sources online. I don't know who the artist was from what I used. However, it's not even gonna be on my painting. I just used it to see what texture would look like if I used it on the background. And the problem I saw with this one, aside from getting a little bit lost with the folds, mostly because I didn't fully plan, well, I had a vision in my head of how the spider body would be like. The problem is that I didn't take into consideration the legs and the form and the volume that it would make, so that made me lose a little bit the perspective of it. Not necessarily the ones that are falling on the bottom, those tend to be okay, but the half point up to the top, it got a little bit lost. It's okay, it's a sketch. but the point was to start seeing how to refine it, but it did not fully work. So I just keep going. I keep trying to find different ways to fill the background, add texture to it, so I just opted for some tapping of it. And trying to make it light enough. I try not to make it too saturated so that it competes with the figure, but the figure is very dark and black with some blues. And the background, I was figuring out how to balance the contrasting reds and oranges, because overall it's a very warm background with some cool tones as it gets closer to her. And so the body also goes from the cool to the warm on the bottom. It's a very overwhelming feeling that's going on. Considering this is going on a bigger canvas, this is fine. I think once I figure out what to do with it, I'll be able to fully refine it, if that's the route I end up taking. So I just add a bit more texture, a bit more interest in the background. And then I realized, oh right, I need the spider webs. So I figured I'd try to mix it with the fabric that's at the bottom. A little bit with the background, and just try to fully overwhelm her with the spider web. And this would not necessarily be the approach I take when it's big, but I just wanted to see how they would look like if this was the route I would choose to take, composition-wise and color-wise. Just white on top of the wet, see if I like this sort of direction. And it wasn't too bad, I just think it was a bit overwhelming overall. And also the size of the canvas is, this canvas is not the same ratio as the big canvas that I chose. But the funny thing is, I decided to do something different. I wanted to simplify the background, and that's what I ended up doing. And I'm gonna tell you in a second, and you're gonna see in a second what I did. Yeah. So that's the comparison. And here we go. I'm trying to ruin it. In my defense, I was trying to make it better. And what I really wanted to do is to make it a lot cooler toned. So I wanted to see what it would look like if the background was pretty much really pale and she was even more blue and would blend into the background, and then have the spider webs be red or orangey and envelop her. You know, in retrospect, I shouldn't have touched it. This is one of those moments where you just take a deep breath and move past this situation. So the only thing I can say is I hate it. But I'm kind of seeing where I want to take it. I think it will be really good in the future. That's all I have for now. I took 5 minutes or 10 minutes to ruin it. So, not to instill any fear, but it takes a really long time to do something well, and it takes apparently 10 minutes to really fuck it up. So take that as you will. I'm gonna go, and I'll see you in the next one. Happy painting.